Hi, this is Steve with Gotta Brew, makers of Cool Zone Fermentation Control. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to go over the Cool Zone system and show you the different components that are involved and how it works. But first of all, if you're new to brewing, you're probably wondering what's so important about fermentation temperature control. Well, basically 50 to 75% of your flavor comes from the yeast in the fermentation process, and if you can maintain an accurate and consistent fermentation temperature, then you can dial in the flavor profile that you're looking for. This is really important if you're going to be entering into homebrew competitions. So this is a typical Cool Zone setup. It includes a reservoir to hold your coolant, as well as a submersible pump, about a 400 or 500 gallon per hour pump. You'll have a thermal well that'll go into your carboy, and you'll also have the insulated enclosure, which isolates your fermenter from the ambient environment. The key to the system, though, is the flexible cooling jacket. And this is designed to evenly distribute your coolant around your fermenter, and this allows you to control the temperature very, very accurately. So how does Cool Zone work? Well, it's pretty straightforward. First of all, you just need a reservoir that holds your coolant. Your coolant can be ice water, it can be water with frozen water bottles inside, it can be glycol. It's whatever you want it to be. You can also, if you prefer a plug-and-play solution, you can also use things like a kegerator, a freezer, or an aquarium chiller. They all work really well, just depends on what you want to do. The next thing is the temperature controller. You'll need to have that so you can monitor the temperature of your fermentation. You can get a single stage or dual stage controller. A single stage controller will control either the heating or the cooling of your fermenter. A dual stage controller will allow you to do both at the same time. So that's typically what we'll use to make sure you can maintain a very narrow temperature window. The next thing is the insulated enclosure. We've designed this to minimize the space, the airspace around the fermenter. Makes it a lot easier to control what's going on inside if you don't have a lot of extra space. Also, it has very thick insulation. It's a dual shell. It has insulation on the top and bottom, and it has dual zippers, so it makes it very easy to access the interior of your enclosure. There's also an opening in the center which will allow the neck of the carboy to come through, and it'll seal around this carboy hood. And then your tubes and your power cord, the tubes for the cooling jacket as well as the power cord for the heating element, if you choose to use it, will come out through this extra slot. Now, if you're using a bucket, basically you'll do the same thing. Sometimes a bucket will have its airlock in the center. That'll use this space. If it's a non-centered airlock, you'll use a sealing plug, which we provide with the enclosure, and your airlock will then come out through this slot along with the tubes for the cooling jacket. Now, the next phase is to install your cooling jacket. Very simple process. Flexible jacket basically just wraps around your fermenter, and you seal it with the hook and loop fasteners, and then your cooling jacket is attached. Very easy to put into the insulated enclosure. Basically pick it up, slide it in. Your tubes will go through the slot that I was telling you about. It has a Velcro sealer on it to make sure that it stays as airtight as possible. Remember, this opening goes around the carboy hood, makes a nice tight seal there. Dual zippers, you zip that up in front, and you're good to go. Next thing you do, basically connect your cooling lines. Very easy to do, quarter turn quick disconnects. That's all you need. And then you add your airlock to make sure that you maintain a nice sterile environment. Your temperature probe for your temperature controller will go into the thermal well and give you an accurate measurement. So one of the really cool things about the Cool Zone system is that you can expand it. So if you are brewing a 5-gallon batch, this is the setup that you'll need. If you're going to brew a 10-gallon batch, a 15 or 20-gallon batch, very easy to expand it and still maintain the same level of temperature control by all of the fermenters. So really easy to expand it. All you have to do is disconnect your lines here. You'll add what we call the add-on tubing kit. You'll just reconnect your disconnects here. And what this does is branch your coolant line so it'll feed each one of the jackets individually. Very simple to connect again. Just use your quick disconnect fittings. Now you have temperature control for a 10-gallon batch. So this is the Cool Zone system. Basically, all of the components that you see are available on our website. Go to www.gottabrew.com and take a look. If you have any questions, go to the Contact Us page and send us an email. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a great day.